And so, like, and I got it tilted up just, trying to be respectful, right? Because I'm just being lazy laying here. So anyway, I think like, I was talking with someone today, one of my brothers, and I've been in these meetings, right, where it's just nothing but pastors, and I'm hearing like the same frustration, right? Like, well, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Mask, no mask, da 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 da. And one of the pastors was talking about one of their leaders saying, masks are more important than the gospel, right? And it's like, whoa, dog. Like, is that how you really feel about the situation? And so I think like we're really teetering on this really dangerous place, but past dangerous is nefarious, right? It's like, okay, we're in this dangerous place, but like if we step past dangerous, we get into nefarious, which is evil, right? And I think that people want to know what direction, right? It's like they were kind of all, in a sense, in this place of the government's telling us what to do, is dictating what we do, right? And I think that's an issue in that, I think it's an issue in that the church has failed to a degree to take a stance, or maybe not to take a stance. I think a lot of churches have taken a stance, right? Some on one extreme, some on the other extreme, and I think very few have kind of like found the middle, right? Like I would consider myself to be a centrist. Like I can call out either side, right? I can agree with either side too. And I think that either side on the extreme is dangerous. And so I think we're spending a lot of time like asking which way, but I don't know if we're spending a lot of time asking where's the middle, right? Like how do we still take a position while saying, yeah, I love you. Like for instance, right? So with COVID, right? So I have natural antibodies. Thank God I came through COVID, right? But it doesn't really change my position of what I think. I'm still not getting vaccinated. I don't, for my own reasons, right? One of which I believe that it weakens the immune system, right? But then I don't get angry if somebody else gets vaccinated and wants to get boosted and everything, right? That's their business. That's fine. Like, but then if I were to get angry at people who are getting vaccinated, then I'm just as guilty as those who get angry at those who don't get vaccinated, right? So I'd rather just say, okay, that's your business, but I'm not, and here's my reason. That's still a position. But I think when we fail to declare a position, we then say that I hold to an ambiguous position, right? You still take a position, like I said earlier. Like people started going to non-denominational churches because they thought that they were choosing to go to a non-denominational church. It's a denomination still, right? And so I think it's really asking that question, like, okay, well, what is the position I want to take, and should I take? I believe I should take this position. Take it, do it, go, like run with that. I don't think that we need to like come up with a 95 thesis, right? But I do believe that we should have a position. I do believe that we should make those positions known, and even to a degree count the cost. Like, okay, if I say this, what is it going to cost me? But if I say this, what will it cost someone else? Or if I say this, what will it save other people or myself? Like, if I tell somebody, hey, don't keep walking that direction there's a cliff in 5 steps, I hope that they'll stop and they won't just walk off the cliff. But then the other option is not to say anything at all and know about the cliff and watch somebody just walk off the cliff, and then have some kind of idea of sorrow because I saw the cliff, but I was too afraid to say don't walk off the cliff, right? And so then, like, I think that it's a good thing to state position, right? Like, for instance, with let me see here. I'm trying to make sure that because I'm making a YouTube video, so I could talk longer than my video text allow me to. Like for instance, okay, let's just let me see here. Let's take steak, right? Vegan or vegetarianism and carnivorism, right? Just being silly and really wrap your mind around, like, there's 2 particular issues that we're dealing with where we're at, right? So somebody could say, well, I think that eating meat is a sin, so you shouldn't do it. And the meat eater would say, well, I think that being a vegetarian is just the dumbest thing in the world because you're not getting all your vitamins, right? But then, say for instance, because the vegetarian has more backing politically, right, and has a louder scream, and generally just not sensible, they shout the carnivore down, like, well, you can't say that because that's not fair, or that's oppressive, or that's hate speech, or whatever, right? But then the carnivore gets duped into believing that they're wrong for being a carnivore because the vegetarian screams louder, talks louder, and has more backing, right? And so one extreme out extremes the other, when the other extreme is like, I still like meat, but I don't feel like I could talk about it, right? I have to like pretend like I'm not really eating meat. It just smells like meat, looks like meat, but it really isn't meat, right? In order to get along. Well, what happens when the carnivore finally says, F this? No. I like meat. Here's why I like meat. You don't gotta like meat. That's fine. I like meat. Now, if you want to sit down and eat a salad and I eat a hamburger and we can have a conversation, cool. But if you just want to stay over there and be mad about people being meat eaters and you being a vegetarian, and vegetarians, deserve for all meat eaters to, not eat meat anymore because it's offensive, then just go where you're going to go and hang out with other vegetarians. I'm going to hang out with vegetarians. I'm going to hang out with meat eaters for sure. And whoever else is out there, right? And I'm going to take a position and you're going to have to deal with it. You could either come and sit at the table and we could have a meal and learn about each other and then talk about these issues too. Or we're going to sit here and you're going to be on one extreme. You're going to tell me I'm on another extreme and we're not going to move anywhere. But I think, like, coming back to back to where we kind of started, right? It's like, I'm hearing, a lot of leaders that are discouraged because we've kind of been backed into this corner, I think. Like, I think that the church has been backed into a corner and she's afraid to say anything. She's afraid to offend anybody. Like, and I'm not saying, like, just go out guns a-blazing and offend everybody, right? Like, that's just stupid. That's not okay. But being afraid to say something because it may cause an offense, that's dumb. That's just dumb. Like, I haven't read the article or watched whatever it was, but I guess black law students are, like, protesting about wanting a safe space to cry. I'm just like, you just make me look bad as a black person, right? Like, I'm just so weak and I need a place to cry because, something happened to my ancestors, slavery or Jim Crow or whatnot, and I need to go cry about that. Man, please. No, I don't need a place to cry. I want to stand up. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to be an American. I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to do what I need to do to get the best life that I can, because that's the kind of country we live in. But if I bow down to these weak-minded ideologies that only seek to enslave the mind, then what am I doing but just being oppressed? The very thing that they're talking about, being oppressive, is the very thing that they're doing, right? Like, think about that. Just think about that for a minute. That's dumb, stupid, and retarded. I said it. Like, I'm upset that you oppressed my ancestors. Or no, not even that, right? That my ancestors were oppressed, but I have to blame you because you're white. Like, look, this is my little rant about this, right? In the 1700s, definitely in the 1800s, it was the Democratic ideology or Democratic Party that enslaved, right? It was. And they were super excited about keeping segregation. They were, all the way up to Joseph, right? Like the Democratic ideology seeks to enslave the body and the mind. And so even before America there was slavery going on with whites, blacks, browns all over the globe. And there's slavery now. So what? It happened. It's happening. And the slavery that we have today is here because we want it. It's based on an egocentric ideology of oppression, right? Like, and at the end of the day, really, what you're seeing, we've had this idea of white supremacy, right? White supremacy came about because of the Democratic ideology and Democratic Party. But this white supremacy, okay, let's drop that. Let's really look at it, because it deals with privilege, right? We have black supremacy now. Nobody wants to talk about black supremacy, right? And black privilege, and it really being drug out by black oppression, right? Because a lot of blacks have fallen for this and been duped into believing that black people can't be racist. Blacks are some of the most racist people in America, quite honestly, and some of the most oppressive and willfully oppressed. It's a mind game. It's a semantic game. Anyway, this is what happens when you won't take a stand for anything. You're taking a stand to be ambiguous, relative, and weak, right? And so what's the answer, or what's the solution, right? It's not an easy one, but I think it starts with taking a stand and saying, no, we won't do this. This isn't good. This is killing people. This is killing all colors and all sex. There's only two sexes, right? Men and women. Black, brown, yellow, purple, green, whatever, right? People, humanity is killing us. It's killing the human soul. And we will not sit down and not take a stand, right? And you have to be able to just kind of like count the cost. Are you willing to take a stand and saying, no more? I'm taking a stand. I think that's an important thing. I would. I think it's important just to speak your mind. Like, no, this isn't right. This is what Scripture says. This is what we're going to roll with. This is what I'm going to roll with. If you want to come. But I think that's important to realize, right? Like, you've got to be able to stand up and say no, or whatever the word may be, that not only empowers all of community to rise up together and be human and be American, period. And when it comes to the bride, to be the bride and say, no, we follow one king. We don't bow to these other kings. No, we're not. We love people. We are transparent about our own faults and failures, but we also are transparent about following one king and what he says, period. That's it. No surrender, right? But tell me what you think. I mean, I think that there's people that are just really struggling with what's going on with the church, but it's also like one of the things you have to be careful of is not just talking junk about the bride, but like, she's messy. She's absolutely messy, but we will rise. And as long as we talk about the bride as only this institution that is oppressive and all these other crazy stuff, right? Then that's all it becomes. That's the culture we create. Culture is created by the language we use, semantics. Semantics is powerful. Anyway, sis, I hope that we continue the conversation because it's so important, and I hope that it really just empowers you and I and others that are crying out this way to stand up and do something regardless of what it's going to cost. I think that's important.